Hi, everyone. Good afternoon. It's indeed a pleasure to be here. I'm really happy to be here because I flew all the way from Lagos at 1 a.m. yesterday, so I'm really excited to be here. So, the topic I'm talking about today is how patience, guidance led to my destiny. And I want to give a full disclosure. Hajia and Al Haji are my parents. I'm their first child, so I'll make a lot of reference to them in case you're wondering why I'm making references to them. So I know I have 10 minutes to speak, and it will be difficult to encapsulate the last 18 years of my life in 10 minutes, but I'll try. And I really want the students to pay attention carefully because I'm really here for you. I've sat where you've sat not too long ago. I've been taught by the same teachers that are teaching you today. So I'll start with this quote. They say every hero's journey begins with a call, and every one of us at some point in our life, we're going to get that call. But the question is, would you be able to answer that call when it comes? Or are you ready to answer that call when it comes? And this is how my journey started. So I graduated from Intercontinental in 2007, and I think I was 15 years old then. And at 15, my parents had traveled 2 years prior to that and had seen the American University of Sharjah, and we had settled that that was where I was going. But here came the problem in 2007. It was too late for me to join the American University of Sharjah. I had to wait 1 year at home. And during that 1 year, I got admission into Bayero University to study economics. I started going. It was fun. It was the first time I had experienced freedom. But as God would have it, the strikes began into our second semester. And my dad saw that I was wallowing in sadness, and he says, let's go to Dubai and try again. Let's give it another try. So we took the flight out of Kano and went to London in Dubai. But we knew the answer from American University of Sharjah. So we didn't go to American University of Sharjah. We went to another university in Dubai, in Knowledge Village. I don't want to mention their name. So in 10 minutes, I got admission into that university. And we went around, and we saw a lot of students smoking behind the campus. There was a lot happening in 2007. So my dad said to me that this is not your place. Let's go to the American University of Sharjah. And again, their answer was that I had to wait till 2008, fall of 2008, which was towards the end of 2008, to start. And at that time, when I think back at that moment, I wonder why I didn't argue with my dad, why I didn't tell him I needed to go to the other university in Dubai. Because remember, when we were traveling, in my own hasteness, I said bye to everyone and like, guys, enjoy your strike. I'm never coming back. So it was disappointing to see that I had to wait 1 more year. So this is the first act of my life. This is the first call I received. Come fall 2008, I joined American University of Sharjah. And the way my parents described Sharjah, it was very beautiful. It's this and that. Honestly, they didn't describe it as beautiful as it was, because up till today, it's the most beautiful campus I've seen. It's one of the top universities in the Middle East and Northern Africa. So it was a great experience for me, a boy from Kano, a boy from Salari, a boy from UK, going to the seat of civilization. At that time, Dubai, Sharjah was booming. So it was the seat of civilization. That was the time when Burj Khalifa was being built. So imagine, my highest building was Bank of the North. So it was an eye-opener for me, right? So as I started Sharjah, I started experiencing a lot. The lessons from home started manifesting because I stayed in a hostel where a lot of the people in the hostel were from the Gulf region, so the Khaliji region. So they would be from UAE, from Bahrain, from Qatar, from Kuwait, from Oman. So we would say that 99.9% were Muslim. But the funniest thing was that at that time, I would be the only person. We had a big mosque on the campus, and I would be the only person that would wake up, and I didn't have a car then, and it was a long walk. It would take you 10 minutes to walk to the mosque, and I would do that every day. And little did I know that I was being noticed. I think after a year, the Imam called me and said, "Oh, Abubakar, you've been selected and the king has paid for a 5-star trip for you to go for Umrah." And that was the first lesson of obedience for me because that was what I was taught. And I'm a little bit teary now, and that's why I didn't really want to say this story because my journey through obedience was what has led me here today. So after Sharjah, fast forward a few years, I had joined many trips that was paid by the ruler of Sharjah, and I graduated Sharjah. And I remember when we started Sharjah, there were 30 Nigerians in my set, and I think two of us graduated. The rest, I think some are still struggling to graduate or never graduated because I told you it was a very fast-paced environment that time. So after Sharjah came the question, what is next? And I remember Abba wanted me to come back to Nigeria, do my NYC and start. But Umar said, you know what, he's still young. I think I graduated at 2021. So I still had time. So I moved to a university, Aston University in Birmingham, where I studied Islamic banking and finance. And that was an eye-opener because from the Middle East to go to Birmingham, which was the second largest city in the UK, it was a big cultural shock. Again, why am I telling you this? This is when the discipline starts to set in. Now I'm alone. I have my apartment. I'm not living on campus. I could do whatever I want. No one was checking if I was going to classes, no attendance, nothing. So it was really up to me. But again, the discipline and the obedience of parents kept us going. I graduated as one of the best students in Aston University, and I got admission again into University of Southampton to do a master's in risk management. I did my risk management. Southampton is a beautiful place. We stayed in a place called Ocean Village. Very beautiful environment. So after my master's, I remember not meeting my supervisor for a very long time. And by the time I was meeting him, we were submitting in 2 weeks. But when I met him, I had already finished my thesis and he read it and said, wow, who supervised you? I'm like, I just enjoy writing and I did it by myself. So he asked me at that point, I hadn't finished master's, are you interested in a PhD? I said, I'll think about it. So again, I came to my parents. They said, please go ahead. And I got a little scholarship from the University of Southampton to do that PhD, right? Okay, fast forward. During my PhD, that's when I got married. That's when I had my first child. It was a very traumatic experience. A lot of things went wrong, but it all passed, right? So amongst my set that we started PhD with, I was the first person to get a job at the University of Coventry. So I started going from Southampton to Coventry, and for those that know, it's a 3-hour, 43 minutes drive from Southampton to Coventry. So I had done that for a week, and I came back one day. I sat on the stairs. I'm like, this is not working for me. I can't do this anymore. I can't go twice or thrice a week, and then my wife is in Southampton, and I have to go to Coventry. It just didn't work. I couldn't find a house in Coventry. Nothing worked at that moment. And I remember calling Abba and I told him, I'm going to come back to Nigeria. And lo and behold, this is 11 years of living abroad, and I decide one day I'm going to come. And I think my wife's idea at that time was in Nigeria on holiday. And I told her, leave the baby and come back. We're packing. We're going back next week. So we upended our lives in a matter of 5 days and moved back to Nigeria. So remember, throughout this story, I didn't do an NYC, and this is 10 years after finishing my degree. I didn't do NYC at all. So imagine me almost at 30 going to RIA camp with the kids jumping. I did not enjoy it at all. And I remember I had to go through that experience with my younger sister, who was 8 years my junior, and we're doing NYC at the same time. So it was really stressful for me. Lo and behold, we finished the NYC, and imagine coming back to Nigeria, no job, wife, baby, and this is, you've left your perfect UK life and come back to Nigeria, right? But again, who do I talk to about this? It's always my dad, my mom, kaya hakuri, it's going to be okay. So I moved to Abuja and I tried to get, okay, I have a PhD. I want to get an NYC position in the central bank or NSIA, really a top position where I would thrive, where I can use my brain. But guess what? It didn't happen. So I got a job at the Ministry of Trade. And I am someone that wakes up very early. So I would be at the office at 8 a.m. and it would just be me and the cleaners. And that had happened for months. And I called Abba one day at home and I told him, But this is not working. I have to come back to Kano. And this was his exact words. This is Abuja. You need to just take the day off, go have coffee with someone, talk to somebody. I believe tomorrow will be better. So again, a lesson in obedience. That is exactly what I did. So I remember that there was a friend who wanted to meet me, and I met that friend that day, and we spent the whole day talking about finance, talking about the future. And that friend was invited to Channels TV to speak that night and asked me if I was free, I could come. I mean, you know that I was free, so I went. So the show finished, and Kadria Ahmed was hosting the show. And Kadria asked who I was. I introduced myself, and she had known my parents for so many years. So, what are you doing at Abuja? I tell her, and she's like, send me your CV. And that was the turning point. This is like almost 1 year into my NYC. When I gave Kadria my CV, she said someone was going to call you. And I was patient enough. On Monday, I went to work in that same Ministry of Trade. And at 1:00 exactly, a number calls and says, hi, Abubakar, can I speak to you in the Central Business District? I'm like, who is this? He's like, my name is Abubakar, just come and see me. But I knew that Kadria had given someone my number. And guess who this Abubakar was? Abubakar was the CEO of Sterling Bank, and he's still the CEO of Sterling Bank. So I sat in Abu's office. He was still working. He comes and asks a few questions, and he's like, can you move to Lagos next week? I'm like, for what? He's like, you now work for me. And years later, after I had left Sterling Bank, Abu would tell me that I really hired you that day, but I had no idea what you were going to do for me, but I just needed you to come to Lagos. I moved to Lagos, very lonely journey, slowly getting to meet new people, and I got AFC. So now, this is where the journey really gets creamy. When I joined AFC, there were about 2 of us from northern Nigeria in the whole of AFC. It was this hidden gem that had a $15 billion portfolio that no one knew about. So when I tell people I work in AFC, there's like, EFCC? I'm like, no, AFC. So that was the journey. And to the students here, what I really want to tell you and what I got out of this and why I told you this story is, wallahi, had I not listened to my parents, had I not been obedient to them, I wouldn't be standing in front of you today. Thank you very much.